related to the permission structure.
It's not just silence, and I'm confused about this. I'm going to get to this in a second, is that Israel seems to be on trial, which I don't understand, that Israel, people are saying ceasefire, and of course none of us want violence, but there was a ceasefire on October 6th. And since that time, we know what happened on October 7th, beheading, raping, every inhumane thing that you can do, ripping babies out of mothers' wombs. And since then, it's
8.5 hours of sustained violence against the civilian population.
And by a group whose only mission is not real estate, and it's not protecting Palestinian people. They put their own people in harm's way. They use them as shields. They've stolen billions of dollars of aid from the humanitarian aid from them. Their only mission is to eliminate Israel, eliminate all Jews. That's it. That's their mission. And yet, constantly, Israel seems to be on the defensive about explaining what they... Now, obviously, Israel has to be very careful and has got to do things surgically, but no other group goes through this scrutiny. I mean, Joe Scarborough, our dear friend, had an amazing talk the other morning where he said, can you imagine if Mexico came in and Mexico had just did the same thing to us? Would people be saying restraint, restraint? And I also wonder, this is going to bring me back to the college campuses, all the pro-Palestinian, where were the pro-Palestinian chants when Palestinians have been oppressed in other areas? How is this pro-Palestinian, or is it simply anti-Jewish and anti-Israel, which comes back to the campus and what's happening at the same time after Jews were attacked? It's elevated. And I need to read the things because it's not just rhetoric. This is what was on the Cornell bulletin board last night. If you see a Jewish person on campus, follow them home and slit their throats. Rats need to be eliminated from Cornell. Another one. If you see another Jew on campus, if you see a pig male Jew, I will stab you and slit your throat. If I see another pig female Jew, I will drag you away and rape you and throw you off a cliff. And it goes on and on and on. There's a level of hatred, and I want to draw the line back to why Israel is in the defensive position after being attacked. Because it's about anti-Semitism and it's about the hate towards Jews that is now surfacing in this country.
So I have a school-age child who's learning about the Holocaust, and I think the Holocaust is taught as part of this commitment, right, that it should never happen again. And it usually elicits questions, and it's usually part of a curriculum. It usually makes people ask, especially young people, how did this happen? How did people not do anything? I think we have this real, tangible illustration of how it happened.
It's so heartbreaking. I have every Jew I know is calling me and terrified for the first time in their life being Jewish. They feel it. You know, when you are a generation away from the Holocaust, from the annihilation of 6 million Jews being Jews, there's something that goes from generation to generation, and people are feeling something in their stomachs in this country they've never felt before, and they're terrified. And I mean, just on the way here, somebody sent me a swastika that was drawn on a little candy store, a little shop in Montauk. It's every day, it's everywhere. Columbia just came out, and their 100 faculty members endorsed students who said the militants had a right to do what they did. They didn't even call them terrorists, that Hamas militants. There is something that, for some reason, evil is not graded the same way when it's against Jews and it's against Israel. And I don't understand that. I do understand it.
What is it?
Anti-Semitism. There's something about that, for some reason, Jews as a group, as a minority, there's 15 million in the world. There would have been 250 million without the Holocaust. For some reason, since the beginning of time, and I'm actually getting upset, it's somehow okay to go after these people in a way that no other people. I'm not a history student. I just know the history.
We talk a lot about silence as complicity in our politics and the weakness and cowardice of Republicans to call out someone who isn't just far to the right, but lurching toward autocratic tools and toolkits. In some ways, the silence here is more shocking to the system.
It's not just silence. It's support. It's the marching for Hamas. Marching for terrorists. It's just endorsed. And university presidents have a hard time coming out and saying, that's wrong. There are two truths at once. You can have empathy for the Palestinian people's plight and also unequivocally say murdering and slaughtering and beheading and burning babies. Beheading. This is not humanity. And yet there is this dance, this thing and whereas I don't understand why absolute evil
Well, let me just pull back. I mean, I think everyone's struggling with it, right? Because I think there is a feeling that I showed the pictures of the baby because they influence U.S. policy, U.S. foreign policy. Tony Blinken saw them on his trip. The Israeli government released the photos. I will never unsee the photos. I've had nightmares about the photos since I saw them. There's a couple levels of this. There's a horror of that. And there's also what you're talking about. There's such an anti-Israeli bias because their domestic politics under Netanyahu.
Netanyahu needs to go, by the way.
Correct. And I think U.S. foreign policy experts think that he may not, be there. He may not be. But there is this real bias against the plight of Israel, even in the wake of 1,400 primarily civilians being slaughtered over an 8.5-hour period, mutilated, slaughtered, raped in front of their children and husbands and wives.
And what has Israel since then been on the defensive, explaining every move they make? And obviously, like any human, we want to do everything we can to protect every life.
Of course.
But they're in a war. And innocent civilians are going to be hurt, just like innocent Germans were hurt. But you still got to take out the Nazis. You got to take out ISIS. And Hamas has to be taken out, and there's no other answer. You can't live next door to people whose entire mission is to annihilate you and destroy you. And people in this country are cheering. And the media is just kind of tippy-toeing around it.
People are scared. People are scared of being canceled. People are scared.
You can cancel me, all right? I got nothing to be canceled about.
I'm just saying, there is a climate where I haven't touched the college campus story. It's been going on for 3 weeks. There is a chill. I'll just say it. There's a chill. Why is that?
Because people feel the hatred and they see it. And the chill is, why are people not talking about it? That's a question for scholars over time.
No,
and
it's not.
The answer is people. I'll tell you the answer is that the Jews are treated different than other groups. That there's a dislike. That there is somehow that Jews being hurt or being slaughtered is different than other people being hurt. That somehow they have it coming to them. Yeah, I said it. That's what this is about.
It's sick and it's sad, and I feel like I'm sorry that I pressed you.
I'm sorry. No, I'm glad you did.
I feel like until it's all out there, we can't all.
And I don't know why. I don't know why the New York Times and CNN, who are so quick to blame Israel, and you know what their source was? Hamas. They're getting their information from Hamas, and I don't know why the media just can't lay things out evenly. Nobody's asking you to side with either side. Just report it fairly, report honestly, and report one group that is pure evil, and the other group, like us, Israel, is a civilized. They're very imperfect, just like we are, but they're a civilized, human value-driven democracy.
Every mother of a hostage that I interviewed said, "I'm not political. I want to live in peace next to my neighbors." They didn't have political agenda, but
Israelis want to live in peace. Hamas doesn't. Hamas is not fighting for peace. They're fighting for death. They don't want peace for their own people. This is just so black and white stuff. There's no gray areas here. And the media is like,
Well, not anymore. Not here. Thank you. Thank you. I think you gave voice to something that I've heard a lot for the last 3 weeks. Thank you very much. A quick break for us. We'll be right back.